In brightest day, in blackest night, all other podcasts tremble in fright. Losers cower before the power. Oranges lust and blues you can trust. Indigos feel and white ones heal. Yellow scare and green ones dare. That sapphire love and black hands glove will rock your foundation without hesitation.
Jim
In Mars, face evil's might. Respect their power, for they'll make you see the
Hey everyone, I'm Mark Marble.
And I'm Jim Ford.
And this is the LanternCast.
Episode 415.
Woohoo!
Yes.
We're all excited, but not about the main topic of the day.
Yeah, we got some really interesting stuff to talk about today. But first, we have a Green Lantern review.
Yes, so we'll try to make this quick and as painless as possible. Jim has volunteered to do this review, which I'm not going to complain about, even though up until like 10 minutes ago I believed I was going to be doing it. But considering I'm destined to have to, based on the fact, well, not maybe indefinitely, because Far Sector will be ending, so then Chad's ability to coast through and not have to deal with the Green Lantern might, eventually that bell's going to come due. But I would gladly take a reprieve, so go ahead, Jim. Let's dive into this masterpiece of an issue, and then we can move on to the actual stuff we'd prefer to talk about.
I'm throwing myself on the quad grenade.
Oh, God.
Okay. Green Lantern, Season 2. Oh, I'm sorry. The Green Lantern, Season 2, Issue 8, not Issue 9. This is written by Grant Morrison, unfortunately. We have a wonderful art once again from Liam Sharp, and, the rest. Okay, so you can't really, well, I guess you could review this chronologically through the issue, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense. If you read this,
since everything goes backwards according to them.
Yeah. I mean, if you've read this issue, it time jumps backwards, and it's not the kind of thing. It's not even like a simple thing where like every page goes backwards. It's like you read like 2 pages, then it goes back an hour, and then it goes back 15 minutes, and then it goes back another 2 hours or whatever. And it's all like multiple pages and just jumping around. And I think at one point they jump back into the like only an hour ago portion. There's a lot of jumping around, but in any case. So what essentially happens in this issue is we find out the whole premise behind the attack from last issue? No, I'm sorry. That was last issue was where Hal died, right?
Yes, last issue was the good issue.
Okay. So this is following up with issue 6, where the Weaponeers or the Guardians or whatever, the Quadmen, whatever they're called now, where they came into the regular universe, the Plus Matter universe, and attacked everybody. The basic gist of it is that the Weaponeer 666, who is the antimatter version of Hal Jordan, went into he planned this whole attack and like killed Green Lanterns, all so that he could lure them into the antimatter universe to blow up the Lightning Forge, which I guess is the source of the power for the Weaponeers and the ones who run the Weaponeers.
The Sector Dictators or whatever.
Yeah, like those, like who like I guess their answer to the Guardians. So whoever runs that core, I guess I think it would be the Weaponeers, right?
Possibly. It's so friggin' confusing at this point. I don't know.
So in any case, so he wants to lure Hal Jordan into the antimatter universe to blow up the Lightning Forge, basically to do his dirty work for him. Because it's also revealed in this issue that Weaponeer 666, the antimatter version of Hal Jordan, is in love with the antimatter version of Sinestro, and since Sinestro here is like a war criminal, he can't be with him. It's like, it would be like treasonous or whatever. So he's got to, like, skulk around in the shadows and everything. And, what he really wants is to be with him. But since he knows that in this universe, love can't really exist, and it's bound to die anyway, like, he needs to figure out some way to overthrow the people that run this antimatter core. And to do that, he wants to blow up the forge, and also he wants to kill Sinestro. Because by killing Sinestro, and they say it like in the very, very end of the issue, which is the beginning of the story, that this Weaponeer 666 would do absolutely anything. He would give up anything, including his greatest love, for the power to overthrow, and take control of his own life and basically get freedom. He wants to be free. And if he's ever going to do that, he has to have, immeasurably more power, I should say. And to do that, he has to because he also believes that the most power you can get is from suffering and pain. Pain leads to power. Suffering leads to power. So if he can endure the most amount of suffering, then he will eventually have the power to overthrow the sector, the dictators or whatever. So getting back to what actually happens in the issue, they go in, so at the beginning, which is the end of this issue, they go into the Plus Matter universe, they attack the Green Lanterns, they kill the Green Lanterns, they escape back into the Antimatter universe, the Green Lanterns follow behind, they fight a bunch, and, they're basically winning, and Hal Jordan fights Weaponeer 666, and they're, like, getting closer and closer to the Lightning Forge, and then all of a sudden, like, Hal Jordan realizes what's going on, and he realizes that it's all a setup, and he says to him, it's like, listen, I see what you're doing. I want you to know that I could destroy you and everything here, but I'm not going to. And the guy's like, wait, so you're showing me mercy? And Hal Jordan's like, no, if I killed you, that would be mercy. Knowing how bad this universe really is. So he's like, just, don't you ever come back. And he, and all the Green Lanterns leave that universe, bound for the Plus Matter universe. So since he couldn't get Hal Jordan to do it, he ends up destroying the Lightning Forge himself. Sinestro dies in the blast as he's, cradling his dead body. The antimatter version of the Bird Woman comes in and says, I saw what you did. I know what you did. I'm going to rat you out, blah, blah, blah. And she does. And so, we end with him being strung up by the leaders. And it's interesting what they say. They say to him that, hold on one second. I want to get the actual thing. How much more pain can you withstand? No punishment we can devise will ever be enough, Weaponeer 666. Tell us what happened to the Lightning Forge. By saying that, how much more pain can you withstand? Knowing that he equates pain with power, basically this is just kind of fueling him up for ultimate power to, break free and have his freedom. I don't know how he's going to get out of it because he looks like kind of a jumbled mess. It almost looks like they've ripped everything out of him and he's just like the organic section, like just being like stabbed with spikes or something like that. Oh, and when I say that's the end of the story, that's like the first page. So
that's like, yeah, it's like Vader getting his his back to tank bath like a Mustafar. It's whatever not mechanical, that's what all you see.
Yeah.
Oh God, you did a much better. You did a more thorough job than I did. I would have done with this. I will give you credit for this, but I've been dreading doing this a lot longer than you have, so maybe there was an element of that. And this is a steaming pile. I mean, the reality is, and when I read it the first time, the whole backwards narrative thing, I really didn't pay nearly as much attention to that as I did to the backwards dialogue of the Green Lanterns, which, of course, it makes sense thematically in this issue, because when the Cordians, or whatever, they're not even we know they're not even weaponers, they're weaponeers! That when they're in our universe, they speak backwards, so it makes perfect sense. And on one level, when we're in theirs, we speak backwards. It doesn't make it any less fucking annoying, especially because we actually speak in complete sentences. When, for the most part, when they were in ours, they're just saying one word. And it's, this is just, again, this is like everything that you don't want to deal with, and with Grant Moore. Everything that Grant Morrison brings to the table on this book that's been a negative, that is just kind of like rubs you raw, that other than the fact that there aren't 8,500 references to things that you have to go to different books and different titles and things that he's done before that you have to go research, but for the most part, the absence of that in this issue, it's still really, really annoying. The fact that we have to read a book, that we really have to sit there and try to read backwards, sentence after word after word after word. Not that you can't do it. You don't really need to put this next to a mirror to be able to figure out what's going on. You can do it backwards, but again...
Well, listen. If you have experience reading Zatanna books, then you could read this. The only thing that I had a little bit of trouble with was when the Volcano Head guy, he's like, I'm trying, it's not real words. It's like, Tagachar Rumble. Tagachar Rumble. Ha. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. I'm guessing that he speaks in some kind of like, weird affectation because he's a lava face, but trying to understand that affectation while reading it backwards is just, it might as well just be gibberish. It probably is.
To me, it's just, once again, it's just again, if this book had built up some cred where you felt you didn't have to struggle in various forms of dealing with this month after month after month, then having an issue like this, which is not comfortable to read, your main characters and everything they're saying is friggin' backwards, you might be able to muddle through and say, well, that was kind of not fun, but it is what it is. But this book doesn't have that. This book gives you crap, one thing after another, where it does not make the reading experience pleasurable. And if it's not pleasurable, then for the average non absolutely dedicated Green Lantern reader or suckers like us who have no choice but to do it for the podcast, it makes you not want to read the story. Part of reading is, it's like anything else you read. If you're reading a story and it doesn't grab you, or it rubs you the wrong way, then the odds are, unless you read 3/4 of whatever you're reading before you got to that point, the odds are you're going to stop reading it. And that's kind of what this is. It's like this. And it just makes it doubly painful because as we reviewed you and I, the last issue, which is arguably it's not the absolute best issue that they've done in 2 seasons of this book, that it's certainly the best issue of this season that they've done in this book. And now we follow it up with this crap, which again, sadly, is still not the worst issue we've read in the Morrison run.
Yeah.
But it's still not fun. It's not fun. I guess that's the ultimate negative critique I would have about this book in general, from beginning to end. This book is not fun.
Yeah, I mean, like the way that I summed it up, I think that if you put the work in, and I mean, it's not a lot of work, but I mean, if you're focused, you can kind of discern what the story is. That doesn't make it good.
No.
I don't even discount the idea of the backwards talking and that kind of thing. Like you said, it makes sense in the narrative of the book because of when the Weaponers come to our universe, they talk backwards. Like, okay, fine. Like, that's not really the worst of it. And once again, if you have a Weaponeer telling the story from the antimatter universe, it makes sense that it would be told backwards. Like, these conventions are, they're intriguing ideas. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know that it's ever been, like, super clear that the Weaponeer is Hal Jordan. Like, nothing about this character screams Hal Jordan. Like, I think, I'm not really sure how we know that it's. Did they mention that he's Hal Jordan?
I think there was something in season 1 that made it more clear that he was that the Qua Man or whatever was supposed to be like the opposite of was supposed to be Hal Jordan.
Like, everything about this antimatter universe is just kind of like it doesn't really jive. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's all very like kind of nebulous ideas because we have like Earth 3. Like, like the biggest thing is like you have Earth 3 with, the whole reverse, everybody's evil, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And now the antimatter universe is like the same freaking thing, only slightly different. Like, it doesn't make any sense. There's no need for it. It's superfluous. It's like you're basically using the antimatter universe, which, like, are there antimatter universes for every universe, or is it just randomly ours, or, just one antimatter universe for all of the multiverse? I don't know. In which case, why would it be the opposite of just ours? And it would seem to indicate that there's only one, considering that we had from last season a bunch of Green Lanterns and like one antimatter universe. I don't know. Like my point is though, like while there are concepts here that could be interesting, ultimately the story that is being told isn't really worth the trouble. Like, this is a full full book to tell a story that, I mean, really, like, could be told within, like, 4 pages, and then there's just, like, a bunch of filler. Like, there's one page where, during the 45 minutes earlier portion, he's meeting ambassadors from Earth, a minor planet in my sector, he says. Radiating resentment, they deliver my cut of their business. And we see, like... And I don't know. It's like an Ultra Woman. It's is it Ultraman? What's the woman's name? Is it Ultra Woman?
I think it was Ultra.
Superwoman, something like that. Whatever. I know he's Ultraman and Power Ring, and Power Ring has with him 7 batteries, like from each of the different cores, all the different colors of the cores, and nothing comes of that. Like, that to me, like, in one little panel, that's the most interesting thing in the entire frickin' book. And he just, brushes off, they stink of sweat, rage, and stupidity. I hate to be reminded of that pigsty planet. I was raised among those brutes. Oh, God.
Which is kind of an interesting sentence by itself. But
I mean, they just kind of pointing out once again that it is Hal Jordan. But I mean, like, there's so many things that make no sense about that. Like, why would this Power Ring have all 7 batteries? Why would all 7 batteries be in this universe? They shouldn't be in this universe. He shouldn't have access to them. He shouldn't be giving them as a tribute to this Qua Man. What is the relationship of Qua Man to Power Ring? Is there any relationship? None of this works. None of this jives. And it's like, Morrison's not, like, he's throwing things out, like, to him, like, oh yeah, we'll throw that reference in because it's the antimatter universe and this Power Ring is from the antimatter universe. Oh yeah, and throw in the batteries. Like he's never gonna follow up on that. It doesn't have to make any sense. It's like, oh yeah, it's just something cool. But meanwhile, it's like, no, that would have been the most interesting thing about this frickin' issue, and we don't get anything about it at all.
It is.
That frustrates me.
Well, it is. It's also interesting that we know, like, now we've had 2 issues in a row that they have on some levels referenced the emotional spectrum. So because we know they did that during the Spectre issue that we mentioned the emotional spectrum. So I don't know. It's it's not an enjoyable ride at all. And considering that once again that I know issue 9 technically came out yesterday.
Yeah.
And based on Jim's early vibes, that's not much better than this issue. That the reality is we're three quarters through the season, and you could probably pick out one or two issues maybe that are, well, actually I don't even know if we can technically pull out 2 issues this season and say that are good. They may not all be bad. We know the Spectre issue was good, but off the top of my head, I don't know if there's another issue that I really, really liked, as opposed to just not hating.
Okay, I should clarify that issue 9 is not a horrible issue. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad.
You mean it's easier to understand?
Oh, it's 1,000% easier to understand. It has some enjoyable aspects to it. I think for my money, it's the story. I completely understand the story that he's telling. I just don't think that it's a good one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
And maybe we'll get to, issue 12 of this season, and he'll tie things up in such a way that it will justify and give a payoff to these prior issues. But, I mean, the way that he sets this stuff up, it's almost as if he's setting it up for something so grandiose that he could never pay off on it.
Yeah.
Also, other thing that I will say is that there's only one Oa in the multiverse.
That's true.
When you read that issue, keep that in mind, because apparently Morrison forgot. And I don't understand how Morrison can forget something like that.
Now you have me intrigued. I'll have to make sure I grab that early next week, since I haven't picked up my stuff in a few weeks.
Well.
But, yeah, so this issue is big step down from last month for us. All right, move on to something more fun?
Yeah, give me a palate cleanser.
All right, so you had a story you wanted to tell, so this is your segue into your palate cleansing story.
Well, why don't you give me anything else, any other topic first before I jump into that?
Okay, I can do that if you prefer. I'll just have to alter how I wrote the episode up already, but it's not a big deal. All right, so let's talk about.
Okay.
No,
did you watch Saturday Night Live this past week?
No. I haven't watched Saturday Night Live in forever.
I don't watch it from beginning to end, but I do catch a couple of skits here and there. And there was a skit that they had about the anniversary of Mario, and they're talking with different people that worked on it and historians and different things like that. And then there's these two fans who are telling a story about their first time playing Mario, and how amazing it was. But one of the kids, they're riding home on their bike, and he gets into a bike accident and ends up just popping his junk to the point where he has to be in the hospital for reconstruction surgery. And it's just this horrendous story right in the middle of them, talking about how great Mario is. And the very next guy that they go to, he's like, what? He's like, I can't do it. He's like, I can't follow that. It's an excellent skit. That's one that I would definitely search YouTube for and check out if I were you.
So in other words, is that your reason why you don't want to go into? Is that your analogy for why you want me to give you a different segue before you go into your story?
Yes, that's 1,000% why. Yeah.
I assumed. I just wanted to make sure. All right, so let's relatively briefly, I'm sure. Let's talk about that little Ryan Reynolds thing you posted to me a week or so ago, which is from We Got This Covered, which means it's probably 100% crap, because they in movie web are equal in the crap department these days.
Yeah.
But you posted this article, which was that again based on rumor / inside knowledge, that there are at least some people at Warner Brothers that, regardless of what Zack Snyder might want, that there are some people at Warner Brothers who do not want Ryan Reynolds to come back to play Green Lantern. They're not opposed to Ryan Reynolds coming back to be something else, but they do not. But there's a certain faction in Warner Brothers that does not want to have Ryan Reynolds come back and be Green Lantern for the reasons that we've talked about a lot on this show lately, which is that he can't shut his damn mouth about running the Green Lantern into the ground. And they have these plans to, obviously with the TV show, and they still have plans for the movie, that they have plans to basically kind of rehabilitate and relaunch this character. And by bringing Ryan Reynolds back to do that, now you run the chance of just kind of like not even like digging up old wounds or whatever. It's a reopening old wounds. It's the fact that he's almost single-handedly responsible for the wound never being allowed to heal to begin with. And now you're putting him back. It's almost like you're rewarding him for running down the franchise.
Yeah.
So, and to be perfectly honest, and again, mind you, the article hedges their bets by saying that they're not that no matter what, they're not claiming that this decision has been made and that Warner Brothers is as a group is 100% committed to. Oh yeah, they've made the decision that Ryan's not coming back. They make it clear that there's still a chance that in their little power struggle, WB might eventually acquiesce and let Snyder do what he wants. But that being said, you have to believe, because this is common sense, which is why you have to believe it, there have to be some people up and higher ups in Warner Brothers who absolutely believe that, even if the story is bullshit as far as the sources. You have to believe there certainly are people at Warner Brothers that, just being human, would say, why the hell should we allow this guy to come back and do this when he's done nothing but shit on us for like the last 9 years? When over needlessly too. I mean, he's moved on. He's got Deadpool, so it's like you could absolutely believe there is some fire to match the smoke. But
well, first off, I said palate cleanser, and then you give me Ryan Reynolds.
That was the next thing on my list, baby. I do have a bunch of other things to mention, but it's so loosely. But I know, okay. I know what you mean. It's true. He cleanses nothing. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing where, like, this is almost common sense reporting, because not even him shitting all over Green Lantern for, a decade or so, just the fact that he is the face of the last Green Lantern movie, which in their eyes failed. I mean, it kind of broke even. No, it didn't. I know, we go back through it. It really did, and it did not make much money when you factor in the budget and everything else. It had to basically. Yeah. But it's not the biggest bomb of all time. No, but I mean, like, if you look at the budget and you double it for marketing costs, and then you factor in the box office and DVD sales, and I mean, you can't really rely too much on merchandise sales from that movie. No. But I mean, like, it was pretty close to paying itself off. I think it just about made it. But regardless, like, it didn't make any money. No. Like, that's something you can't, really debate. Like, the movie didn't make any money. So at the end of the day, it was a failure to them. And because it didn't make money and they consider it a failure, everybody else considers it a failure too. So if he's the face of this failing Green Lantern movie, then why would you want to put his face out there again for anything when you have a TV show coming out in less than a year and potentially a movie coming out in 2 years or so that you hope to, like you said, completely relaunch the brand and take the Ryan Reynolds stink off of, all of it. And I mean, and we've talked about this a million times, none of us think that Ryan Reynolds was, what was wrong with that movie. I mean, they could have been a little bit better, but he wasn't the bad part. But he is part and parcel with that movie. Like, you can't separate them. So, like, bringing him back for a Justice League movie, which, I mean, I never thought that they needed to make anyway, but, whatever. They're making this movie. They're dumping a ton of money into this movie with reshoots when it's not going to have any bearing on... Wait a second. Is this going to have no bearing? Are they going to make a sequel to this? Is that potential? Excuse me, as my voice goes Peter Brady for a second. Anything has anything's possible. We have potential. And Snyder again is just shooting off his mouth, talking about, oh, I know what I'll do in the second one if I ever get to. We have no idea if there's going to be a second one. It's just because we don't even know really what the hell they're doing, other than the fact that they want to give people a reason to buy HBO Max. I mean, really, we don't know why they're. Yeah. I mean, it's so.
I don't know. I hope they don't. You could just as easily get anybody else. Listen, you can get Tom Cruise. You can get Tom Cruise to play Green Lantern for 5 minutes. And everybody would love it.
I mean, generally speaking, I mean, again, if he just shut up about running the movie down, and I mean, again, if there would be, and we kind of talked about this when we did the Case for Green Lantern episode, that at the time, he really isn't, at the moment he isn't, contractually obligated to Warner Brothers, so they really have no influence over what he does, what he says. Now, if he would be willing to basically shut the hell up as the trade-off, that, okay, we will at least consider this, or we'll do it, but you really have to we just need to just shut up about this. You cannot, if you, whatever. But again, unless they really have plans for him down the road and he's interested, then in theory that means nothing to him, because he could agree to it and still turn around and do what he wants to do afterwards. Anyway, I mean, we know Green Lantern should have been in that movie. It was a travesty, really, that you're putting the Justice League together and you don't have Hal in it, and not just because of what a pain in the ass one way or the other Ray Fisher has become with Cyborg. That besides the fact that Cyborg should really A, not be in the Justice League to begin with, and B, certainly shouldn't have been one of the founding members of the Justice League. That if you needed more reason, you should have had Hal Jordan in there, or even. We see the post facto stuff with John's Whedon-gate and everything. I don't know. I thought when you posted that to me, again, it is like common sense 101, so that there's got to be truth in it somewhere, even if the source for this article is total garbage. That that there has to be truth in it somewhere, because why would people be happy? And one thing I want to mention, because I know I forgot to mention this when we did the Case for Green Lantern, when I was doing my Ryan Reynolds. When I was venting on that. If there's one reason the guy should shut the hell up, it's because he met his damn wife on that movie. He wouldn't have his wife and he wouldn't have his 2 kids without that project. Doesn't matter that whether it's true or not. We're told they were not romantically involved when that movie was being made. It doesn't matter. The point is he met her on that movie, and that was the catalyst for them eventually getting together. So that's a real good reason for him not to moan and bitch about that movie as much, or to at least acknowledge after he makes his jokes about it, but, all kidding aside, blah, 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 blah. But he never does that. Yeah. So just shut the hell. I mean, I'm just generally speaking, I'm Ryan Reynolds out. Because yes, he plays himself 90% of the time, not all the time, but 90% of the roles that he plays the same freaking character. It's just, so it gets old. And, as far as a movie star goes, like, again, Deadpool's the only movie he's ever, quote unquote, been the star in that's really made money. He's been a co-star in some things that have made money. He's been a co-star in a whole shit ton of things that have not made money, as well as being the star in things that haven't made money. So, I don't know. Yeah, but
I mean, he sold his vodka, so I think he's financially set now.
Yeah, that is true. Even though he's still sloppy seconds when it comes to The Rock. No, gin. He's gin. Oh. Yeah, The Rock is vodka. Ryan Reynolds is gin.
Well, not anymore.
Aviator Gin, I believe it was. That was his.
Oh yes, Aviator Gin. That's right.
Yes.
Also based on.
But yeah,
based on Green Lantern.
Yeah.
I mean, like, seriously, it all goes back to Green Lantern for him.
Owen Gin, better than Romulan Ale. So yeah, let's just. It would be best for everyone to just move beyond Ryan Reynolds, and I mean, it depends what the role of Green Lantern was going to be. But hell, fuck, I'd rather have Kilowog or Abin Sur show up.
Yeah, Abin Sur would be great. Abin Sur would make a lot of sense, and that would be really good.
And they could, and I have no problem if they want to use Tamora Morrison's version of Abin Sur. That's fine. It just gives you it just gives you a little time frame. It tells you, hey, this movie, no matter what, this movie takes place before the Green Lantern movie.
Yes,
but it's yeah. So it was interesting. It was an interesting read because of the fact that we'd been talking about Ryan on this show. So, but
to settle the suit with Ray Fisher, they're gonna make him Cyborg and Green Lantern. And at the very end of the movie, he's gonna ride up on a unicorn Pegasus and kill Darkseid single-handedly.
Oh God.
Okay, so now I've got a story, and I think it's a pretty good story. So this starts 26 years ago, this story. So there I was, 14-year-old version of me, roughly, give or take a little bit. And I'm not doing the actual math.
We don't do math on this show.
So, do you remember the Ultraverse?
Vaguely, but yes, I do remember it.
Vaguely? Come on, vaguely? Okay, so for anybody out there that doesn't remember the Ultraverse, like Mark, Ultraverse was an imprint from Malibu Comics, and it had like all these really amazing creators from the other big, the big two that decided to like kind of like cut away and start their own imprint so that they'd all like own a piece of the royalties and whatnot. They started like a whole line like right off the bat. Like I think there were like 7 or 8 issues and that started the whole line. It was this cohesive universe. There were a couple of I think a couple of them went like 24 issues. I don't know if anything went longer than 24 issues, but they went for a while. They had some crossovers. It was a really, really fun universe. And then eventually Marvel bought them, and they were running some of the characters. That some of the characters had their own books and kept on, telling stories with that. They had like a little bit of a crossover with some of the actual Marvel superheroes, and then they all completely faded away. And there are numerous theories and information that you could look into as far as why Marvel doesn't use these amazing heroes, but my story has not much to do with that. So, as a big fan of the Ultraverse back then, like one of the other things that I was a big fan of was non-sports cards, the collectible non-sports cards. So if any of you have watched Chad's videos on YouTube, he did an unboxing of DC cards. Did he do the second box yet?
I don't know. I don't think he published that. I don't think that he did.
I don't recall. He might have. So I know that I watched one, and I can't remember if I watched two. I would have watched it if I had seen it, and I just can't quite remember if I saw it. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. But it's, non-sports cards, it's, basically the same concept of baseball cards. Listen, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably know what non-sports cards are. Seriously. But, you'd have, like, the main deck of cards, 90 cards, whatever, give or take. And then you'd have the chase cards. Sometimes it was holograms, sometimes it's foil cards, whatever. So I was a huge fan of collecting the cards. I, bought comics back then, all that stuff. And since, like the cards, would be a decent amount of money, like if I actually wanted to get a set, the best way to do it is to buy a box. Chances are, if it was my birthday or Christmas, I was asking for a box of cards. Now, going back 26 years ago, this Christmas, I asked my parents for this box of cards. It was the Ultraverse 2 series. It was Origins. So, tons of these, character cards and whatnot for the Ultraverse characters. All stuff that I really love. I'm going through pack by pack by pack. We do open all our Christmas gifts, and then later on, it's like, okay, time for the cards. So I sit there, and I'm just, going through pack by pack, looking at the cards that I'm getting, trying to assemble a set, looking at the chase cards and things like that. I get through the entire box, and, I've got a couple of chase cards, and pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, like, I remember, or I was reading the box, I think it's on, like, the very side of the box in very small print. There were special chase cards, very special chase cards. The thing about the super special chase cards, like, they were like art redemption cards that you could mail in for actual art that the card series was based off of. And those were like super, super rare, like one in like, I don't know, 10,000, 20,000 packs, something ridiculous. But then there were the autograph cards. And the autograph cards were also ultra rare. It was one in every 1,360 packs. I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, that's super rare. I'm like, I didn't notice anything, though. I said, but I also wasn't really looking for an autograph card. I was just looking at the regular cards, and I'm looking at the, for the chase cards. So I went through every single card again, one by one, looking through. And about halfway through, I saw it. I had pulled a chase card. And this was one of the signed cards. And, I was just about out of my mind. Because, I'm 14 years old, and this is, the rarest thing that I've ever pulled. And it was so cool. The character was the Nightman. His first appearance was in The Strangers, which was my favorite book. The Strangers and Nightman were both created by Steve Englehart, who, here's the Green Lantern connection for this story. He was a Green Lantern writer back in the 80s, was it?
I think that's correct.
He's the one who wrote the Millennium crossover, which is, I guess, one of the bigger crossovers in the DC history that kind of centered around Green Lantern mythos. He created the first version of the New Guardians, which was supposed to be something really great and ended up being something that people kind of make fun of for a while, but it really did some amazing things in its time. But in any case, him and Joe Staton, they had a decent run on Green Lantern, and I knew that as a big Green Lantern fan back then. It's okay, so now I have a connection to Green Lantern. It's got a connection to the Strangers. It's got the Nightman, who's a cool character in and of itself. Awesome. So this became one of my absolute prized possessions forever. And eventually they made a Nightman TV show, and it's like, oh, wow, that's even more cool. This signed card, it's like, this character's going on and doing even cooler things. Okay, so time passes, and, my fondness for this card, never really, went away. It was always just well, I'll always have that memory of that, pulling that card, that signed card. It's awesome. Now, cut to about a year ago, and I have this bag of collectibles and junk and stuff like that. And I move things around from my desk to the closet, and some things go away for a little bit and some things come out. Well, this collectible card, along with a couple other collectible cards in those really heavy duty, card protectors that had the screws and the lucite and everything were in this bag, among other collectibles that I just kind of wanted to put away for a little while because they had been out for a while. So they're in this bag, and it was just a regular white plastic bag you would get at the comic book store or something like that. And I've got it in the bedroom, and it was kind of, in the corner. And Lauren, my wife, she says to me, she's like, you got to move this bag. She's like, it's in my way. She's like, it's in the way of the closet. And she's like, I need you to move the bag. I'm like, okay, you got it. And I completely forgot about it. And so this, it happens to be one Friday. And she says to me, she's like, listen, she's like, you have to move the bag. If you don't move the bag by Monday, I'm going to throw it out. And me, being the flippin' asshole that I am, I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. You throw that bag right out in the garbage if I don't move it. Thinking that, oh yeah, of course, I'll just move it in the next 5 minutes and be done with it. And, it won't be an issue. So she had no idea what was in this bag. No idea. And me being a flippin' asshole that I am, kind of played into the fact that it was probably just a big bag of garbage. And so, well, I've got 2 kids, and next thing you know, I completely forget about putting it away. And over the course of the weekend, I see the bag a couple of times, and I think, oh yeah, I got to put that away. Let me just put that in the closet. And every single time I thought that, my kids would come in and distract me, and I completely forget about it all over again. Well, next thing you know, it's Monday morning, and I'm at work, and I get a phone call from my wife saying, do you know what you forgot? And I said, no, what did I forget? She's like, remember that bag that was in front of my closet that, you said that you would definitely move? I'm like, oh my God. She's like, yep. She's like, I threw it out. I'm like, no, you didn't. She's like, yeah, I did. You told me that it would be fine. I said, you actually threw it away. She's like, yep, right in the dumpster. I'm like, you're kidding me. She's like, no, I definitely did. I'm like, she's like, why? What was in it? I said, I'm like, and at this point, like, I was getting, like, emotional because, like, I remembered some of the stuff that was in that bag, and, like, all of it was very, very hard to replace. And I'm telling her, and she's like, oh my God. She's like, why would you tell me that it was okay to throw it away? And I said, because I'm an asshole. That's why.
It's sarcasm, damn it!
I swear, like, she's like, well, maybe you could, maybe it's still there. I'm like, they pick up the garbage on Mondays. Sure enough, I get home on Monday, and that bag is long gone. Now it's like thinking about everything that was in that bag, and like it was a bunch of collectibles, and like just different things that are just so hard to come by. Like, I mean, like for one thing, my collection of playbills from like all the plays and musicals that I've ever seen. Like they're all just gone now in a landfill, and it hurt. It definitely hurt.
Keep in mind that bag was like 3 like Stop and Shop plastic bags, like tied up, like you would tie up garbage. Like a big bag
I told them.
tied up garbage.
I clarified that.
I want everybody to know that.
I specified.
I want everybody listening to know this. That it wasn't like it was in like a nice bag and it was open and I could see into it and I was like, oh, this is Jim's Collectibles. Fuck this motherfucker. I'm throwing it out. It literally looked like tied up garbage.
I specified what kind of bag.
I'm clarifying.
I specified the bag.
She wants the world
so
to
you
know.
Don't know. You don't know what kind of white plastic bags they have at the comic book store. Our listeners know.
Listen.
I was very specific.
Listen. It's not like I could see through it. It was like 3 layers.
I know. That's because it's a thick bag. In any case. So, now all of a sudden this is gone. Now, the one fortunate thing about the playbills was that most of the plays that I have seen with my wife. So she has most of them also. There were like maybe like 2 or 3 that I saw before meeting her. Not a huge deal. But, like the cards that I lost, there was the signed card. There was the One True Superman card from the Bloodlines card set. There was a chrome card from X-O Manowar, and there was a sketch card of Cyclops from some X-Men series. I mean, honestly, I could care less about the Cyclops card. It never really meant anything. It was just kind of cool that I got a sketch card. But, I go right onto eBay, and then, this is, again, all last year. Go right onto eBay, looking around, I find the One True Superman card, order that right away. I find the X-O Manowar card right away, no problem. They're still pretty hard to find cards, but they don't really cost a lot when you do find them. The one thing that I could never find was the autograph card. I have not seen an autograph card move ever on eBay because they're so damn rare, and like how many boxes of this series are still out there because it's the Ultraverse. Come on, it's not like they sold every box. So okay, so I was very disappointed, but okay, I have my memories, whatever, and just try and forget about it. And every once in a while, like, it pops into my head. It's like, man, I still miss that card. And then I forget about it again for a while. And oh man, I really forget. I missed that card. I can't believe it all got thrown away. So, like, somehow, I don't know how, but I got under the impression that Steve Englehart had passed away. And I don't know where I saw this or what made me think this at all, but it just kind of like compounded it. It's like, oh man, he was a creator from the Ultraverse that I loved. He was a Green Lantern creator for, the character that I love. I had this signed card. I no longer have it. And now he's passed away and I've completely missed my chance to get anything signed by him again. I was feeling a little sad about it one day, fairly recently. And then I see Chad on Twitter talking about how he, picked up a box of cards. Now I have all the DC cards. I actually still have those. Those are collections that I do really look back fondly on. And they haven't gotten thrown away yet. So, realistic. Come on. I think to myself, I'm like, I wonder if I could find a box of these cards because I know that they're still out there. And if I can get them cheap enough, then maybe every once in a while I'll pick up a box and see if I can find a signed card. I know that the odds are like staggered, really high against me on this one, but it's worth a shot. So I go and I look online, and I was able to find a box for about $12 plus shipping. Not too bad. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's worth a shot, at the very least, it'll bring back the memories of opening up the packs. And so now we get to the point of the story, which is pretty unbelievable, but I swear to God that it's true. Mark, I opened 2 packs. I opened 2 packs from this box, and in the second pack, I found a signed card. Now, there were 7 different cards that you could find. So, there were 7 different creators that had signed cards, and I don't know exactly how many went in, but based on there being 7 creators and the odds of finding one, in 1,360 packs, then the odds of finding a specific artist would be 1 in 9,520 packs. So when I tell you that I opened up 2 packs and I found another signed card by Steve Englehart, my brain just kind of went, oh, okay. No, that should never be possible. I calculated the odds, and the odds of pulling 2 of the same signed cards would be 1 in 19,000 packs, or 529 boxes. And yet, I managed to get 2 signed cards in 2 boxes 26 years apart.
For that is pretty impressive.
Yes, so I have it. I have the same card. I don't know. I don't know how this is possible. It seems insane to me, but yes, I have that card. So after I got this card, I'm doing the research to get the odds and everything like that, because I couldn't remember any of that stuff, and it just seemed bizarre to me. How did this happen? What are the odds of this actually happening? So in my searches and all this stuff, I realized that Steve Englehart is very much alive, which is awesome. But,
especially for him.
Yes, I would say so. So I emailed him this entire story. So, I was just gonna, I figured, okay, whether he reads it or not, let me send this story off into the ether. And, if he writes back, awesome. If not, no big deal. I have the card, and that's amazing. I write to him, I tell him the whole story, and tell him how much I appreciated Ultraverse and Green Lantern and all that stuff. And so he actually did write back. So he said, "Hi, Jim." He said, "I think actually people bought up the boxes with the cool people, and I was the only one left. That makes the odds much better." So he goes on to say, "In 1978, I had left comics forever," I thought. "So I hauled my most valuable comics from my collection to the San Diego Con and sold them. I was perfectly at peace with this. My wife and I had two teenagers who knew the comic market working with us. But one afternoon, my wife was working the table by herself, and she sold the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th issues of the Claremont Byrne X-Men for guide price, as I'd shown her how to do. But when my kids came back, they said they should have gone for triple the guide, and she has felt terrible about it ever since. Which is to say, that is what we get for marrying women who aren't cosplayers." He said, I wish we'd see the Ultraverse again, but it seems to be gone forever. I've wondered if Disney, which now owns the characters, wouldn't say, why do we own these guys and not make money off of them? But so far, no dice. I'm glad you liked them in their time. I did too.
That's nice.
It was very nice.
He didn't offer to sign your signed card?
No need.
You're lucky it's sent in the mail and it would get lost.
Yeah, well,
it's not a Joe Biden ballot, so I wouldn't be arriving early and often. All kidding aside,
the card, it's signed and it has like this emboss to it, like the certificate of authenticity kind of thing. Right. So yeah. In any case, that's my story. I think it's a pretty good one.
It is pretty good.
What's your lesson learned?
move your bag.
That's not my bag, baby.
It's not my bag, baby. I don't know why it's in front of my closet. In the dumpster it goes.
Yeah.
If you leave your sack lying around the wrong place, someone's going to throw it out.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Let's see. So I had a few other mini things that we can wrap up with. So, did you want to talk about your Shuri thing?
This is just a thought that I was having. And I mean, like, I should probably have more faith in Marvel. But, like with Chadwick Boseman passing away and like the mantle of Black Panther, they've already stated that it's going to go to, I forget the actress's name. Letitia Wright, yeah. Who played Shuri in the movie, his sister. She is going to take on the mantle of Black Panther. And, like, in the movie, Black Panther, like, I love that movie. I thought Chadwick Boseman was really good. I don't think that he was amazing. I think that there conceivably would be better people that could play that role. And that's not to take anything away from him. But he did a fine job. The character of Shuri, like, I loved her. Like, her character was phenomenal. Like, she's so smart. She's such a cool sister. Like, it was a really great role. And now, like, I'm trying to, like, think about it. And it's like, her taking on the role of Black Panther, I'm not really super excited to see that. Because I think, like, I just liked her as her. Like, creating, like, cool science stuff and, like, being the brains. Like, seeing her as the brawn and the muscle and going out and fighting and blah, 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 it's going to take away from the really cool parts that I do actually like of her. That's just my thoughts on that at this point.
I can see that, because at the end of the day, it's just going to make her more like Iron Man. If she's the one who's making the shit and wearing the shit, then she's pretty much going to be Iron Man.
Yeah, but I mean, like Iron Man, I think because like he made the science, but it never really seemed like he was all about the science. Like he was Iron Man. Like he would work on his suit, but it wasn't like with Shuri, it's like she's working on a whole nother level. Like has all this access to this advanced technology, and she's got the brains to keep pushing it forward. I don't know. Like she was on another level from Tony. So it's almost like it would be a step backward to become like Tony. I don't know.
I mean, I could see that. We've, like you said, we pretty much knew they were going to go that route. It's the most logical way to go. Especially again, if you look at the MCU and Disney and the social agenda they seem to have, that the reality is that it's not that surprising that especially at some point they might have wanted to go the Letitia Wright route anyway, and so
I mean, and it has precedence in the comics. I just honestly, I feel like the one who played his ex in the movie.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes. Like, I mean, what would work, what I would prefer is if, like, you find out that he got married to her, and as, like, you know, the queen, like, she would take over the role. Because I feel like she wouldn't have, like, she doesn't have as much of an established, what's the term? Like a role, like an established role.
Her slate is a little more blank.
What was that?
Her slate is a little more blank.
I would say, yeah. I mean, that's a good way to put it. I mean, like, Shuri, like, you know, like, I don't know. I mean, she'd make a good queen. She'd make a great queen. I'm not interested in seeing her as Black Panther.
I'm not gung-ho for it, but I'm not as gung-ho for Black Panther 2 anyway. I obviously would have been more gung-ho with Chadwick Boseman. But like everything else that's going on with the MCU, everything's so pushed back that that these sequels are going to be coming out so many years now. That at some point, the COVID, you know, all these COVID-inspired delays, which of course are destroying tons of things, people's lives and industries and jobs, and that the MCU is really, you know, they really are kind of taking it up the keister when it comes to a lot of stuff, because the fact that so much they literally lost an entire year they lost a year of movies. They pretty much lost a year of shows, since we know now that WandaVision won't actually premiere until January 15th. You know, we thought originally it was going to pick up in December, pretty much right after The Mandalorian ended, but it's starting in January instead. We know with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that would have been the first show that would have been premiered, but because of them filming in Europe, that got delayed.
Yeah.
That all these delays, I mean, one after the other. Now they're still making movies because they believe, which I think Shang-Chi finished principal photography, and we know Spider-Man is filming now, and supposedly Doctor Strange is going to be starting, and Thor is going to be starting soon, and all these things. But the reality is they are really going to be backlogged as it is, which is going to affect their plans. And then you have Guardians 3, which I think supposedly is supposed to start filming next year. So we're talking the absolute earliest the Guardians would have normally been able to come out would be 2022, which now is almost a guarantee that it won't, because of the fact that they're going to be so backlogged. Black Panther was 2018, right? It was right before Infinity War.
I think so.
Yes, because Captain Marvel came out right before Endgame.
Yeah.
So you're looking, again, bare minimum, I think Black Panther is still scheduled for 2022. So you're still talking.
Well, yeah, I mean, that one wasn't on the slate.
No, Black Panther, I believe, is on the slate.
Are you sure?
Yeah, let me look it up. I think Black Panther, I think Black Panther has a May. I think they gave Black Panther the May 2022 release date. If I could type, it would be really beneficial. Hand faster than the other, and of course when you keep hitting the wrong keys, that's not really helping your cause either. Black Panther 2, it says 2022 just on this. Let's see, does it actually have a release date? That's what I should have actually done, search for the release date. I know it says 2022 on May 6th, 2022, which is what it is now, which doesn't mean that it's not going to get pushed back, because it very well might, because everything else is still probably going to be pushed back.
Yeah, but was that part of the announced slate?
It was announced. I don't know if it was the Comic-Con announced slate, but it was announced. It might have been at the the Disney thing, the club.
Okay.
Club.
Yeah, I see the image for the May 2022.
Yeah, because I think technically after that, Captain Marvel was supposed to be like the summer, I think, of 2022. Either way, you look at Guardians. Guardians is almost destined at this point, unless one of these projects falls through. Guardians may not even come out until 2023 at this rate, which is ridiculous, because now you're talking about 6 years since the last one. I mean, even Doctor Strange is pushing it. Doctor Strange was 2016, I believe. I think Doctor Strange was November of 2016, and that's going to be about 5.5 years, barring any more delays. Yeah. So at some point, all these things, they're going to have to figure out what the hell they're going to do. They're going to have either one massive one. They may have no choice where it's not even 1 year. It might be a couple of years where they're going to have to release 4 or 5 movies every year because of the fact they have to catch up, or else their original 4 to 5 year plan is going to be pushed to like an 8-year plan. And you still have the X-Men and the Fantastic Four you have to figure out what to do with, even though maybe they already know, and maybe there's other movies that some of these characters are going to first start appearing in. You know, a lot of people think Ant-Man's going to open the door for Fantastic Four and things like that, even though Ant-Man 3 is yet another movie that is, when the hell is that going to be coming out? Because that was so. But yeah, I think with Shuri, it's going to be, it's the most logical way to go based on their what seems to be motivating a lot of the decisions they make. Does it inspire me to be any more interested in that project? No, but in all honesty, there's really not a whole lot in but Phase 4 right now that I'm interested in. I'm interested in Spider-Man. I'm interested in Thor, depending on what they do with that. I'm interested in Doctor Strange the most. I want to see Black Widow, but I'm not anticipating it being overly impactful. It might, depending if they're really paving the way for the Thunderbolts and shit like that. Shang-Chi, I know everybody else is more excited about it than me. Means nothing to me at the moment. It could be cool, but I'm not. The Eternals means, yeah. So I still wish they would have. I'm sorry. I just still wish they would have been better served to begin with if they had a little more stability in the front loading at least of Phase 4 than what they did. Because now it's really. Now it could work in their benefit because people are it's gonna be, wow, Jesus. I mean, we haven't seen a Marvel movie in the theater in like 2 years by the time we get one in 2021. But it still would have been safer for them to at least have 2 things that people were, absolutely you knew it was going to do well, as opposed to rolling the dice on 2 or 3 first projects. And even Black Widow was a slam dunk. It would be a hit. But how big a hit it was kind of shaky considering. So, I mean, I think it'll do better now. It may do better post-COVID, assuming things are back to normal at the theater, because the anticipation for that movie will have grown. But I just think Marvel has had a lot of issues. So we'll have to see how that pans out. And the Shuri thing, obviously the Chadwick Boseman thing has not helped.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. 2021 is going to be weird.
It's essentially going to be 2020 and 2021 from a movie perspective, all rolled into one.
Well,
barring delays again, of course. I mean,
that's the big if.
Yeah.
I mean, are we 100% sure that they're not going to just dump Black Widow on Disney Plus?
No, you can't be 100% sure of anything, because at some point. Now, mind you, especially since Disney Plus isn't everywhere, that if you were going to dump one movie domestically on Disney Plus and release it like in foreign countries, I mean, Shang-Chi might be the one to do that with, because you assume you get the Chinese box office. I don't think they want to do it with Black Widow, because in all honesty, on paper, Black Widow is the most slam dunk, huge box office movie they have, especially domestically, and you factor it in. I mean, Black Widow, there was an audience for it, and the projections from Black Widow.
I don't get that. I don't see it.
I think in a way, it's because I think of people's sentimental attachment to the character, and her sacrifice on that level will help. Or has helped, I think. Now, it doesn't mean that the anticipation for this movie could end up being hurt by COVID-19. It's just based on where we were, the actual projections for what this movie was supposed to be doing on opening weekend kept getting higher and higher as we got closer, before COVID started, just wreaking havoc, and then people started doubting whether the movie was going to open. I never saw Black Widow as anywhere near a $1 billion movie worldwide either, and it still may very well not be, even if it's released under quote unquote normal box office circumstances or conditions.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I feel like that's going to be like Ant-Man territory.
Logically, I would agree with you, but I think the interest in that movie, it was greater. I think at one point they were talking about that movie was, the upper end of their projections based on the way things were going. The current trajectory was that movie could have I think somewhere in like I want to say it was getting somewhere close to between like the 130 and 150 like opening weekend potential, and that would blow Ant-Man right out of the water.
Listen, I love Scarlett Johansson, and I like the character of Black Widow. To me, that movie always just kind of seemed like a bit of a tough sell, because one, the character died, so this is all like backstory, and two, as far as characters go, like you're telling a Marvel superhero movie, without a superhero. Like, she's just,
Well trained.
she's just a hero. Yeah, like she's a spy, an assassin, a well-trained one. But, I also don't think that a Hawkeye movie would do particularly well.
No, but they should have. If they were going to do one, they probably should have done one with Hawkeye and Black Widow together, because that would have. Then you're taking two supporting characters who are good in the and people like them in the Avengers movies, and you put them together. Whether you were actually telling the Budapest story or not, the point is seeing them team up, even if it was obviously would still have to be a prequel. Yeah, I think that's one disappointment about this project, is that and it doesn't mean that you won't have a cameo for Hawkeye in this movie or something, but the reality is, I think that is disappointing, that he's not going to be a co-starring in this movie, kind of like she co-starred in Winter Soldier, and things of that nature. But yeah, I don't think any of the first three movies they had on their slate were on paper. They all were weak compared to what they were wrapping up with. And I'm not even talking about Endgame and Infinity War. I'm just taking a look at what Captain Marvel did, taking a look at what Black Panther did. Even like Ragnarok, things like that. They were just, I think all these movies none of these movies were stoking the fires of interest, which is one of the reasons why Comic-Con was so boring at their announcements, because they literally announced nothing that people didn't know. All these things had been rumored, and even the thing that would have been a big announcement about Thor 4 had already leaked a couple of days before. Everybody, that's the whole thing about Natalie Portman coming back and Taika Waititi coming back. All that stuff was announced beforehand, so that would have been their big announcement. They talk about Blade all you want. I don't know when the hell they're going to figure out when to fit that movie in. They have so many. Being blunt, they have so many more important movies that right now are being backlogged. That when the hell are they going to? If you talk about a movie that would be perfect to release on Disney Plus, that's probably your one. Because while that movie could make money, very doubtful it's going to be making big Doctor Strange, Thor, Spider-Man kind of money. Regardless of how well it's done and how well it's recasted. It just recast. So yeah, we'll see. I think a lot of people are really. I think there's little nervousness or a little less enthusiasm for Phase 4, because it ended so well. Not that Endgame doesn't have its flaws. Endgame does have its flaws, but it's also highly rewatchable. But it has its flaws, and it's just that part of the MCU moving away from it, which I guess at some point you had to do. But the way they're beginning Phase 4, and they're just kind of like going here and going there with all these little obscure things, and I don't know. I never liked that idea. I think it's the Guardians thing was unfortunate. We know why they made that decision with James Gunn. It's just if DC, obviously Warner Brothers gave 0 Fs about potential fallout from that, because they grabbed him quickly, and it seemed to be the right move since there turned out not to be a big public pushback and no more stuff came out about James Gunn. But that one decision is going to when the dominoes of that decision, because Guardians 3 really, when you think about it, that probably really should have been one of the first things they should have done in Phase 4.
Wow.
And that got taken completely out of for a year, not even like for a year. That got taken big. That pretty much took it off the board for like 2 years, right there.
Yeah, but by the same token, I think they could have the Guardians pop up in any of these movies. Thor would be the easy choice, but you have them pop up once just to show that they're still there, and then you see them again and tell whatever story you're going to tell. Whenever they do these movies, it's just kind of changes the window as far as what story you can tell.
Yes.
For Guardians, if we're waiting 5 years past Endgame, then will they have gotten Gamora back? Are they still hunting for Gamora? Did they spend 5 years searching for her?
Well, yeah. Supposedly the script hasn't changed much. That's what the rumor is, that there's been very little changing to the script. The fact that it's being delayed, and plus we know the Guardians movies technically weren't in real time. They were not in chronological order based. Well, I'm not saying it the best way. The years the movies were released were not the years that the movies were really taking place in real time necessarily, because of the fact that we know certain things happened. Well, the first two Guardians movies might have been but either way, but there was something in the time frame, because it was because Guardians 2 took place 30 didn't it say 30 years later after the opening with Kurt Russell and everything. So that obviously that would only take you to wouldn't take you to 2017. That wouldn't take it would take you before 2017. I forget what year they said that was on in Earth. It might have been, but I don't think it took you to 2017 when that movie was made. So I think it could still. So depending on when it fits into the Marvel timeline, because we've had plenty of movies before that technically, they may have been released after another movie, but when you look at the real timeline, that's not really where it fits in. I mean, it's just disappointing in the way that, because a lot of their bigger movies have been just because they were not, I guess, dedicated to making those movies first, that now it's kind of like the chickens coming home to roost on that level, just because of the fact that because of now the COVID-related delays, which you couldn't really have predicted, it's now you're talking about even more massive delays. You're talking about 3 years, 3 or 4 years since you've even seen these characters, let alone depending on how many years it's been since they had a solo movie or their own movie. So there's not much we can do about it. All we can do is kind of hope that that next year is the 2021 on many levels is better than 2020. So one last thing before I let both of us go. Did you see this?
Oh man!
No, you'll like this topic though. This is going out on a high note. Not that the Marvel wasn't, but this is. Now, did you see the stuff about George Lucas and the supposed plans for the sequel trilogy?
Oh God, I didn't even click on that.
Now, of course, the thing whenever you hear stuff about George Lucas and the ideas for his movies, you have to take it with a slight grain of salt, because he is what you would call, no offense to George Lucas, and I would much rather see whatever he wanted to come up with compared to what we got. But that being said, he is probably what you would call in the business an unreliable narrator. Because there have been lots of changes to different things and the history and this and that, and we've been told how many Star Wars movies there were originally supposed to be, and yes, Anakin was always supposed to be, Vader was always supposed to be Luke's father. No, he wasn't supposed to be Luke's father. Blah 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 blah. So you have to take this with a grain of salt. But supposedly, the story's going around now, and I think and I forget which book it comes from. There's a making of book that's coming out, and I think that's where some of these sources, the source material, is coming from. But supposedly, which mind you, and I say this supposedly because this seems to clash with some of the general ideas that we had heard were in the trilogy that George Lucas basically sold the treatments to, the Disney treatments. That when he sold Disney and he sold those treatments, or they suppose he got pissed at Bob Iger for, because I guess they probably made it seem like a little bit more than, oh yeah, we might consider these. He probably had reason to believe, understandably, that based on the conversations that they were going to really use these as the blueprints. Some of this stuff doesn't seem to mesh, but now the stories that are coming out is that if George Lucas' sequel trilogy basically involved around the idea that, and I did want to mention this. There's something I want to mention at the end of this, because a slight pat on my back, which we all have to do once in a while, which means nothing because this could be total bullshit, but it's something that I wrote about after we knew there were going to be more movies. That supposedly Darth Maul was going to basically be one of the big bad with an apprentice in the sequel trilogy, and Luke was going to be basically besides training whichever new Jedi he was training, there were going to be some Jedi survivors from Order 66 and things like that, and basically that was going to be driving the conflict, and the fact that eventually Leia was going to be. This is again revisionist history, so this is why if Lucas really said it, you got to take it with a grain of salt that he would have done it, but that eventually Leia would have essentially been proven to be, if not the chosen one, a chosen one, because she would have brought everything back from a political and a galaxy perspective, because you'd have the galaxy put back together again with her being Supreme Chancellor. and things like that. Now, the thing that I found interesting about it, just because of the fact that, hey, that sounds 1,000 times cooler than most of the shit that we got, and the stupid and the idea that a character that did exist in Expanded Universe anyway, Darth Talon, that she was going to be Darth Maul's apprentice, and I think she was going to be the one that was going to be tempting Ben, Kylo, whatever, if he would have been called the same thing or not. That was going to be the temptress to get him to turn to the dark side. Besides the fact that it sounds intriguing, the thing that I remember writing when Yahoo, I think, had their contributor part of their site or whatever, when you could write articles and publish them. Shortly, I think, after they announced that they were going to be making more new movies, that I wrote something that, the fact that it was somewhere between the time they brought Darth Maul back into the Clone Wars and the new movies being announced as a done deal, that I said, maybe they're bringing Darth Maul back not just to write out the Clone Wars and to give him a little bit more story, that now maybe there's a chance, how cool would it be if some way, somehow, he basically, being the crime lord that he turned out to be anyway, that he basically wrote it out and he made it past, he lived past the Emperor, which of course would give him great satisfaction if he had done that. But the idea, just seeing like Luke and Darth Maul square off, and him actually, Darth Maul being kind of getting the just due that he kind of was denied in a way to a certain extent in the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy. So I just thought that was interesting. But again, you got to take these things with a grain of salt, because Lucas has never been close to 100% consistent. But yeah, that certainly would sound better than a lot of the mess that we got in this trilogy. Seeing Luke do something would have been nice, other than raise an X-wing and catch a lightsaber.
Darth Talon had a cool design.
Yes, she did have a cool design. So, and there would be a certain kind of irony to the fact that it's with his penchant for becoming a crime lord and an underworld figure, that basically, once the Empire fell, that he would that syndicate would start filling the gap to a certain extent, and just him actually having his revenge in a way by outlasting Palpatine after being discarded. Now, I don't mind that Obi-Wan was the one who killed him, because that was part of Obi-Wan's backstory before they retconned it. That's why Obi-Wan didn't have to go through the Jedi trials to become a knight, because he was the first one to kill a Sith Lord in combat and have it, and in like 1,000 years or whatever. So the fact that it was appropriate that he was the one who killed Darth Maul. I mean, I thought if they were not going to have him survive into the next trilogy, as in the sequel trilogy, I thought that's what they should have done. But it would have still been cool in a way if he had survived. It would have been a nice pep talk that Obi-Wan could have given Luke about Darth Maul. Oh, this bastard.
I remember killing him.
Twice.
I'll go better.
Trust me, Luke, listen to Thanos. Go for the head.
And on that
note, anything you want to add?
Nothing at all.
Works for me. LanternCast@gmail.com. The website is LanternCast.com. You can follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. #GLCast. To track us down on either one of those. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher, so please leave us a positive review on whichever platform or platforms you listen to us on. Last but not least, if you'd like to leave us a voicemail or text, 708-LANTERN is the number. And let us know what you think. And next episode, tentatively, #Chad's not dead. He's supposed to be back for recording the next episode. So at this rate, this episode probably will not come out to, today's the 12th? Probably will not come out till the Tuesday or Wednesday after this. But probably it would be if we do record, the episode we release for Thanksgiving would be, in theory, it should be with Chad. Chad should be back.
Oh, maybe he'll want to do the Green Lantern number 9.
I bet you he won't. But I think I'm going to suck it up and actually pay to watch Bill and Ted, so we can have a nice, easy episode to bring Chad back, and something to make Chad feel all warm and fuzzy. So that is the tentative plan for the next recording. May not happen,
nice,
but we're just saying that is what the current game plan is for a nice, comfortable, easy episode. So Chad and his recovering colon don't have to stress out too much.
Oh, man.
Nobody wants a stressed out colon.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Good night, everybody.
So long.